All right, so here is our lecture on viruses that cause cancer. And cancer has been around as long as humans have been around. They found evidence of this in fossilized humans and in historical records. And viruses cause about 20% of all human cancers. And cancer is one of the biggest leading deaths of people, so 20% of all human cancers is pretty big for viruses. Now, of all the viruses that are associated with cancer, six of those viruses really cause the most, right? So we're gonna focus on these in this lecture. We've got hepatitis B and hepatitis C. There's a vaccine for hepatitis B that works really well. There is no vaccine yet for hepatitis C. There have been lots of experimental trials, and this is still ongoing, but as of yet, there's no vaccine to prevent hepatitis C. HPV, or human papillomavirus, which we've talked about before, and yes, there's a vaccine for for human papillomavirus called Gardasil that works very well. And then we've got Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV, and human herpes virus 8, or Kaposi's sarcosa. Kaposi sarcoma-associated herpes virus, or human herpes virus 8, which is even easier to abbreviate, like this. And then we have human T lymphotropic virus 1 and 2, HTLV1 and HTLV2. Now, if you're looking through really old literature, there was a time when they were first trying to figure out what HIV was, and people were wondering if HIV was a variation of HTLV. It's not. They're different viruses. Okay, now, of these cancers, if we look at first HPV. HPV is most known for causing cervical cancer, but remember it can also cause cancer of the penis, of the anus, and of the throat, and of the mouth. But most common, we've got cervical cancer. And of all the viral associated cancers, HPV causes 80% of all the viral associated cancers. So HPV causes 80% of all viral associated human cancers. And then we've got hepatitis viruses. So HBV and HCV, while these are genetically unrelated to each other, they both cause liver cancer. Of note, the other hepatitis viruses do not cause liver cancer. For example, hepatitis A causes an acute infection. It doesn't cause chronic hepatitis, and it does not cause cancer. So we're just focused on hepatitis B and hepatitis C. All right, then we've got Epstein-Barr virus, which can cause mono or mononucleosis. Right, Epstein-Barr virus is also associated with Burkitt's lymphoma. And most people are actually asymptomatically infected with Epstein-Barr virus. If we surveyed everyone at Husson, the vast majority of us would be asymptomatically infected with Epstein-Barr virus. Most of us get this at some point in our life and don't notice any symptoms. But occasionally it can cause Burkitt's lymphoma. Burkitt's lymphoma is a much more common disease if you are also infected with HIV. That leads us into human herpes virus 8. And this causes Kaposi's sarcoma, this is a skin cancer. And again, many people are infected with human herpes virus 8. Many of us are infected asymptomatically. This is pretty common. But when your immune system wanes, and so this is most often in older men. All right, so human herpes virus 8 causes a skin cancer, most typically in older men. Usually of ethnic Jewish or Mediterranean descent. Now, if you have HIV, you have a much higher incidence of getting Kaposi's sarcoma at a much younger age. So this is one of the weird cancers that they noticed, men in their 20s and 30s were getting, and they're like, what's going on here? And that was one of the first clues that we had a new pandemic, a new epidemic of HIV. And then we've got two viruses down here, HTLV and HTLV2, or human T lymphotropic virus. And these viruses, again, are asymptomatic in a lot of people. Occasionally, they cause cancer. We know a lot more about type 1 than we do type 2, and we'll talk a little bit more about all of these later in the lecture. Okay. So some basic terms that are important. So an oncogene is a gene that can cause cancer. And a viral oncogene, and this abbreviation gets used a lot in this chapter, V for viral oncogene. This is a viral gene that can promote cancer. And then a proto-oncogene is a cellular gene that if it picks up a mutation here and there, it can become an oncogene. Tumor suppressor genes. These are genes that usually downregulate cell growth. If you disrupt the function of a tumor suppressor gene, then there's nothing to suppress tumor growth, and that can cause cancer. Cell transformation. This is a whole set of processes that can lead to a cancerous cell, and this is going to include morphological changes, how it looks, biochemical changes, so changes in metabolism, and growth properties, how it grows and divides. Because cancer is the definition of uncontrolled cellular growth. Now, tumors often are a starting place. A tumor is like a solid or a localized cancer, and then when it spreads, it becomes metastasized. So metastasized is when some cancer cells leave the original site and spread throughout the body. Now, there is an excellent video that I've put up on the Canvas module for you that is about cell cycle and oncogenesis. And you guys need to watch this video, so rather than me trying to draw on this slide here, there's a really good video here with lots of animations for you going through the process of oncogenesis. So that is an essential, that video is an essential part of this lecture series. And in the interest of keeping the lectures short, so they take less bandwidth to view and download, we're going to stop here. So this is going to be the end of part 1, and then you guys will watch this video, and then you'll pick up with part 2 of the recorded lecture.